done at a large scale, and many people now understand it, and things are going according to what we have done.
Fatou Kinte of UNFPA said gender-based violence is one of the obstacles that hinder the advancement of women.
Despite all this, however, girls and women's rights continue to be abused violently in the Gambia as in most countries. Violence can be described as being physical or psychological.
She further noted that UNFPA has been playing a crucial role in training police officers on the effects of gender-based violence in our society, which she said has gained momentum as the public now have faith in the police. For his part, Kajali Sonko of Women's Bureau, who also chaired the opening ceremony, mechanisms have been put in place by government, adding that for journalists to report effectively on the procedures, they need to understand some of the legislations on gender-based violence. This two-day capacity building exercise is expected to enhance journalists with skills of reporting that will help policymakers formulate gender-friendly policies geared towards addressing issues of inequality in access to financial loan and other productive opportunities. For Grts News, I am Fatoumata Simaha.
There is a sign of relief, at least for now. Parents of the abducted girls in Nigeria are now wondering what's next after a video purportedly from Boko Haram showed more than 100 girls on Monday. In the Gambia, the Nigerian High Commissioner urged all Nigerians to observe 3 days of fasting. As we hear in this report by Aissatou Bajansar, the prayer vigil was open to all religious denominations.
Prayers, they said, conquers all. So in times of distress, the faithful resort to praying, and in most times with fasting, to invoke God's blessing and guidance. Such was the case for the Nigerian community in the Gambia. The Nigerian High Commissioner spearheaded the 3-day fasting and prayer to invoke God's blessing and guidance for the release of over 200 girls abducted by the terrorist group Boko Haram almost a month ago in Chibok in northern Nigeria.
I'm happy to let you know that Nigerians, Gambians, and other nationals are here today in solidarity with Nigeria. Many are here to participate in this prayer session to end terrorism. Some among you have participated in the 3 days fasting and prayer. Some are joining us today in solidarity. I sincerely thank you all, Nigerians and non-Nigerians, that are here today.
A solidarity move which goes to show that though 1,000 miles from home, the abduction of the girls affected them too, and a case for concern to all.
The destruction and adoption that has taken place in Nigeria and many other African countries and some parts of the world is not acceptable. We want it to stop, and we'll do all we can for peace and love to reign in Nigeria, in Africa, and in the whole world.
As the Muslims gather in a room reciting the Holy Quran, the Christians were also at it, clasping their hand in supplication, invoking God's intervention and for the safe return of the girls to their families. It was a very emotional and symbolic prayer session, a patriotic and bold move to demonstrate one's love for peace to reign in Nigeria. Aissatou Bajansar, Grts.
Some of the abducted girls have been sighted on Monday, a video purportedly from Boko Haram seems to suggest. So what's next after this? And the protagonists in South Sudan blame each other for violating a ceasefire agreement. Find out what happened after the break.
The Gambia Radio and Television Services, GRTS. GRTS Staff Association, King Italy, His Excellency the President, Chef Professor Al-Haji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jame, no fast Kene Sumbu, Jingadum Banquet Dinner, a grand dance with a difference. Bufikeja Amsufi Muse Amsakh, on the 23rd of May, and on the 24th of May, 2014. 2014 Setiki Penchami Hall, featuring the now happening queen of Malaka, Titi Safnepa, Titi, Tamane Titi, Pare Rajake Penchami Hall. You've never seen her on stage like this before. Titi, by popular demand. Yipari Joy Mostoli, Anak Aindanan artist Fiji Reumi. Tickets, Gala, Platinum, $60,000. Diamond, $50,000. Gold, $40,000. And the individual, $1,000. Grand dance ticket, $500 and $300 flat. For all reservations, please call 991-1992 365-5518 203-1850 682-9536. Signureu, Gambia.
Welcome back. A new video purportedly from Nigeria's militant group Boko Haram has emerged. The video showing some of the abducted girls was released on Monday by the French news agency. Withdrawing from his earlier rhetoric, the leader of the terrorist group in Nigeria says it is willing to release the abducted girls provided the government in Abuja release Boko Haram prisoners under custody. As we hear in this report by CNN's Nima El-Bagir, the situation is tense in the areas where Boko Haram's main mercenaries live.
This is a road few are now willing to travel. Attacks by the militant Islamist group Boko Haram are constant in this part of Nigeria. But what happened in Chibok put the world on notice. In here, in these rooms, is where the girls were sleeping when armed men in what they describe as military uniforms came to their dormitory gate and told them that they'd come to protect them. The girls started to assemble in the yard as ordered to. They didn't realize who the men really were until it was too late.
We said, okay, we entered this lorry.
This girl managed to escape. She's now too fearful to show her face. Too fearful to go back.
A big lorry.
Big lorry?
Yes.
They came with a big lorry?
Yes.
Was it one or more?
7.
7 lorries?
Yes.
Trucks, motorbikes. Residents here tell us this raid was effectively a shopping trip for Boko Haram. Over 200 girls dragged from their beds to be sold off as bounty. A message that the militant group's edicts on female education must be heeded. But a way also for big men with guns to make money off terrified girls.
If in Chibok, I will never go again.
You'll never go back to school?
Yes.
Because they made you afraid?
Yes.
Before the militants left, they destroyed everything they could. Textbooks, the library, the laboratory, their attempt to forever shutter this school. Elizabeth and Mary are friends, members of the same church. Their daughters were also friends, hoping one day to study medicine. They and many of their classmates never made it home from school.
We are pleasing them to leave our doctors. We don't have power to collect it with our powers.
They say they still feel powerless, no closer to finding their daughters nearly a month after they were taken. What many of the villagers we spoke to told us that they had in fact received warning phone calls from friends and families in the surrounding villages, Christy, that when that Boko Haram convoy began crossing country towards Chibok, that it was visible and that it was reported to the villagers in Chibok. The question they're asking is, why didn't the authorities know? And this video, and if it is indeed a Boko Haram video, will of course only add to that cacophony calling for the government to answer some of these concerns. Christy?
South Sudan leaders President Salva Kiir and his former Vice President Riek Machar both blame each for violating the recent ceasefire accord in Ethiopia. And 36 people died and 42 others are missing when a boat carrying 400 migrants, mainly from sub-Saharan Africa, drowned off the coast of Libya. According to eyewitness accounts, 200 people were rescued. Details of these stories and others in the CFI report.
Has again highlighted the plight of migrants from Africa to Europe. 36 people drowned and 42 went missing when their boat went down off the coast of Libya. 200 were rescued. According to survivors, 400 people had been packed into the boat when it sank. In another separate incident, 10 people